local for you. NBC4 at 6 starts now.
And it's inappropriate to have folks trying to influence an investigation. It undermines the community's trust and credibility that this investigation was going to be thorough, accurate, and fair.
Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther angry that a U.S. Marshal made comments soon after the deadly shooting of Casey Goodson Jr. by a Franklin County deputy. Thank you for joining us for NBC4 at 6. I'm Colleen Marshall.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm Kerry Charles. Within the hour, Mayor Ginther joined us right here on NBC4. He said U.S. Marshal Pete Tobin's comments that the shooting was justified were inappropriate and damaged the public's trust in the investigation.
We grieve as a community. I mean, I'm not just a mayor, I'm a dad. And the thought of losing a child like this in a way that there was so much that this young person had in front of him. Casey had such an incredibly bright future, a good kid who had worked hard and done everything the right way. And to have his life snatched from him in this way has got to be just devastating for Mrs. Payne and the Goodson family. We are in process of reaching out to them to offer our comfort, our support, our condolences, but also services for the rest of that family. I know there's a lot of folks offering to support them right now, but as you know, with grief, it doesn't go away in just a few days or a week or a month, and we need to be there to support this family into the future.
Mayor Ginther says Columbus Police, the U.S. Department of Justice, and the FBI are committed to following the evidence and getting to the truth of what happened.
And happening right now, people are gathering in peaceful protest in downtown Columbus exactly 1 week after Goodson was shot to death by Deputy Jason Meade. Mayor Ginther calling for calmness in the community and says tonight's protest should remain peaceful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we need to listen to this mother who's grieving in this community that's grieving. Casey Goodson was a man of peace, and anything to be done to demand truth and justice in his name ought to be done peacefully. But we encourage people to come down and use their voices to demand change, reform, and justice. And we want to make sure those
And more on the protest in a moment, but first a breakdown of what happened last Friday, 1 week ago today. Investigators say Franklin County Sheriff's Deputy Jason Meade reported seeing a man with a gun. Meade's attorneys say the deputy asked Goodson to drop a weapon and fired when Casey Goodson allegedly began to pull his gun.
A weapon was recovered. An attorney for Goodson's family says Goodson was holding food, not a gun. He did have a concealed carry license. He was also carrying sandwiches, bringing those home to his family.
We have team coverage for you tonight with NBC4's Dan Perlman, who spoke today with one of Casey Goodson's teachers. But we begin our coverage now with Alan Henry. He joins us live from that protest. We're wondering, what are you seeing? How are things going? And I can hear people chanting.
That's right, Kerry. Right behind me here, you can see the number of people have continued to grow considerably over the last hour, along with that law enforcement presence continuing to grow as well. Just within the last few minutes here, we just saw Congresswoman Joyce Beatty enter the center of that crowd there. She is about to address these people gathering here on the corner of Mound and High Street in just a few moments. Now, this protest started just a few moments ago at the top of the hour, but as people have been pouring in, a lot of them have been expressing their sadness and their anger, their feelings over the death of Casey Goodson Jr. The organizers of this event are calling it a rally for transparency and accountability, and they tell me they'll do whatever it takes to make changes.
Unless our lawmakers pass laws in the General Assembly, unless they stop qualified immunities, nothing's going to change. There will not be no accountability because these officers will know nothing's going to happen to them if they kill an unarmed man, woman, and child. All they're going to say is, I fear for my life, and get off with murder. And enough is enough.
Now, these people plan to be cheering and rallying throughout the night tonight. This is just the beginning of the demonstrations. There's another one planned for tomorrow afternoon at the State House. Live and local for you in Columbus, Alan Henry, NBC4.
Thank you so much, Alan. An update now to a story we reported at 4. The Fraternal Order of Police sent out this letter to its members here in Central Ohio involving what they call the critical incident from last week. The letter is signed by FOP President Keith Farrell, and among other things, it says an initial initial statement of support for Deputy Meade was given by the FOP at the onset of the incident. However, the media chose not to report that statement. We wanted you to know, and the members of the FOP who received this letter to know, that at least for NBC4, that is not true. We did not get a statement at the outset, and we certainly would never choose to not report the position of the FOP on a story of such importance. After that story aired at 4, I did speak with Keith Farrell, who admits the FOP did not make a blanket media statement. One person spoke to a few reporters, and Farrell does not know if those reporters failed to accurately report what they were told. He apologized and said it was not his intent to mislead anyone, and also said, with everything going on, he does not want a war with the media over a letter. But NBC4 brings this to your attention because we want to make it clear we are committed to accurately reporting all sides of this important story. And this is just into our NBC4 newsroom, a statement from the U.S. Marshal, Peter Tobin. He said in part, "I previously provided commentary after arriving at the scene of the incident and made statements based on insufficient information that I received prior to the beginning of the official investigation into the shooting incident. It was premature for me to provide any opinion, conclusion, or other information about the facts of the incident."
Tonight, one of the people planning to protest downtown and do so peacefully is one of Casey Goodson Jr.'s former teachers. NBC4's Dan Perlman spoke with her earlier today and joined us live. Dan, what did she have to say about her former student?
Well, Carrie, she tells me Casey Goodson was kind, compassionate, caring, and loving, in many ways the same as an adult as he was back in the 6th grade. Melissa Thomas St. Clair was Casey Goodson's 6th grade math teacher. The two lost touch for a number of years, but in 2013, Melissa's son was murdered. She tells me Goodson then reached out to her, offering support and even offering to help raise money for her son's services. Years later, in 2019, Melissa was hit and injured by a drunk driver. She says Goodson again reached out periodically, sending messages, checking in on her.
If it was my birthday, happy birthday, how are you doing? I had extensive oral damage and I was very verbal about that. He would say, don't worry about your smile, your heart lights up. Just a phenomenal golden soul.
Now, Melissa says the last time she heard from Goodson was a little over a month ago. Remember, Goodson had his commercial driver's license. He had heard about another former student who is pursuing his CDL, so she says he reached out to her to offer some advice. Local for you in Columbus, Dan Perlman, NBC4.
Thank you, Dan. And in case you missed it, episode 6 of The Conversation premiered on NBC4. We talked about the Casey Goodson Jr. shooting, the Columbus Civilian Review Board, and the progress that's been made in the last 6 months toward racial equality and the work that still needs to be done. You can watch The Conversation online right now at NBC4i.com/The Conversation.
A local food pantry finds itself with bare shelves and the season of giving. We're going to tell you how the community stepped up to help.
And it's been a very warm afternoon today. Temperatures reached into the 60s. We're dropping, though, back into the 50s already this evening. Mid-50s right now. We'll be at about 50 by 10, setting up a warm start to the weekend. But a cold front is on the way. We'll time it out for you in about 10 minutes.
Next, the casualty of the pandemic, a pizza place shutting down after almost 5 decades in business. We'll tell you when it will be closing its doors.